Republicans are wasting little time in making moves and expressing their intent to get back at Democrats. But it's not just revenge, it's just cleaning things up. Aside from this story, the House approving a subcommittee to investigate the weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ under Biden, we learned the other day that Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell will be booted from the Intelligence Committee. Ilhan Omar is also getting booted from her committees. But of course, Swalwell and Schiff are furious. Swalwell saying McCarthy's lying about him having been in bed with a Chinese spy. Well, as the reporting goes, he was fully cooperating with the FBI on his relation to Fang Fang. But hey, either way, it makes sense to not have him on the Intelligence Committee, right? And as for Adam Schiff, hey, how about when he published the private phone records of another sitting member of Congress and a private American citizen? But of course, they're outraged that Matt Gaetz, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, that any Republican would actually go after the January 6th committee. Matt Gaetz says that they will be releasing 14,000 hours of footage. He says they're going to get to the bottom of what was really going on. And in fact, he's saying it was a Fedsurrection, that the feds were actually involved in January 6th. Well, me personally, I'd like to know who Ray Epps is and what his involvement is, and how come, despite the fact that he's on camera inciting the insurrection, Kinzinger and many other politicians, Democrats, defended the man. Here's what's really happening. Republicans are certainly getting revenge, but they're also cleaning things up. Now, I don't know if they'll actually fully clean things up. A subcommittee to investigate may mean nothing. With Kevin McCarthy, you may get the worst of all possibilities. Garbage sham investigations that ultimately lead nowhere. As Ian pointed out on Timcast IRL, no investigation may actually be better than a McCarthy investigation. What if the establishment Republicans are basically doing a deal where they're like, we'll give a minor budget, we'll claim to investigate, not actually get any real power, file any real subpoenas, so it looks like we did the investigation, and then we'll come out and say, no, we were wrong. Everything was on the level. Well, I'll tell you, I'm a little optimistic. Why? They just announced they're going to be voting to abolish the IRS and abolish the income tax. It's never going to happen, but it's a symbolic victory that forces Democrats to vote in favor of the IRS and the income tax. But the point is, the reason that vote's going to happen is because the Freedom Caucus, not necessarily the entirety of the Freedom Caucus, some voted for McCarthy, but the holdouts, these holdout members of Congress in the Republican Party, were able to pressure Kevin McCarthy and say, if you want our votes, you gotta give us these things. Thus, we're now seeing a floor vote, potentially, on abolishing the IRS. Hey, man, I will take it. Force the Democrats to show the world they like the income tax. They like the IRS. They like the 87,000 new IRS agents that will be coming for you and your tiny bank accounts. In the meantime, it feels good. If that's it, that's all I get, fine, whatever. I mean, I'd love real accountability, but hey, at least I can say right now that it certainly feels good. I mean, it's fantastic that the House is going to be investigating the weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ. So let's talk about that and what it means. But first, I'd like to revel in the outrage of the Democrats, but explain to you, it's not just tit-for-tat personal revenge. Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell being removed, it's for real reasons, important ones that we need to discuss. So when you hear someone say, the Republicans are just doing that because they're mad, no. I'm going to show you the hard proof, and I'm going to break it down for you. Before we get started, my friends, head over to timcast.com and click that beautiful Join Us button. Become a member to support our work directly. Membership is what drives this whole machine. It's the most important element of the business. But you can also share the video with everybody you know, because if every single person shared this video, we'd be bigger than the mainstream media overnight, and that's probably more powerful. Exponential growth. As a member, you get access to exclusive, uncensored segments from the Timcast IRL podcast Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m., but you also support our cultural endeavors. We're setting up a physical location, a skate shop, a private club, a coffee shop, and we want to set up and possibly even franchise out physical locations. You walk in for a coffee, boom, there's Timcast IRL, there's Stephen Crowder, there's Viva Fry and Barnes up on the TV. so that we can get a foothold in the culture, in physical spaces. And this Saturday, I'll be in Washington, D.C. at Freedom Plaza skating around. No real event or anything. I'll just be there. Hope to see you there. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Let's talk about what's really going on and why the Democrats are so angry. Adam Schiff. Yes, he's particularly angry because he's being booted off his committee. He tweets, the true purpose of the GOP's new Investigators Committee to undermine the legitimate probes of Trump and 1-6, which implicate the committee's own members. Kevin McCarthy sacrificed a lot to be speaker, our democracy and national security most of all. In his shockingly absurd statement before Congress, he says that the QAnon members of the caucus are forcing McCarthy to do these things. Well, let's talk about what's really going on. From WEAR-TV, ABC3. Send it to the critics. Gates claims videos prove FBI involvement in January 6th insurrection. I love how they call it that, like makes it so shocking, like, ugh. Congressman Matt Gaetz and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene held a press conference Thursday analyzing videos of the January 6th insurrection, claiming that the FBI assisted in the incitement of the Capitol breach. Gaetz showcased a compilation of videos Thursday that he claims would expose the truth of what led many individuals to take part in the events of January 6th. Gaetz went on to call the January 6th insurrection a Fedsurrection. Interesting. A video of an individual taking down fencing at the breach site was shown by Gaetz during his conference. Gaetz claimed that some people, because of one individual's actions, may have been naive and drawn into a place they were not supposed to be. Quote, just moments ago, Congresswoman Greene and I went to this specific location outside and we demonstrated how easy it could have been that an individual might have listened to the president's remarks, arrived at the breach site, seen that fencing was removed, and might have been drawn into a place they weren't supposed to and never intended to be. Gaetz then goes on to claim that the individual addressed by Gaetz as the fence cutter is not listed on the FBI's wanted list, where others who participated in the breach have been listed. Interesting point, Matt Gaetz. Interesting. During Gaetz's showcase of aggregated videos, he goes on to say that an individual, Ray Epps, incited the events of January 6, ushering much of the blame away from other individuals involved in the Capitol breach. According to the New York Times, Epps was captured on video yelling to a crowd, quote, okay, folks, spread the word. As soon as the president is done speaking, we go to the Capitol. The Capitol is this direction. Epps has not been charged with his actions, leading some to believe he was protected by the FBI or other government agency. He's there. They tear down the barricades. He tells them to do it. He tells them to go to the Capitol, I mean to say. Gaetz and Greene both claimed in the conference the federal government, along with Epps, were responsible for the January 6th breach of the Capitol. Prove it. Quote, I do not believe that there would have been the same level of criminal acuity on January 6th of last year, but for the involvement of the federal government, Gaetz said. Gaetz says towards the end of the conference that he expected and expects criticism for his theory that the federal government was involved in the January insurrection. Very, very interesting. The story, of course, my friends, is from a year ago, but it's important because many of these elements are being brought back up, notably right now. DC Drano tweets, Republicans, from Matt Gaetz, Republicans will release 14,000 hours of January 6 tapes that have been hidden. Bam! Looks like the truth about Pelosi's Fed op is going to be exposed even further. Maybe this is what we needed. It's been a year. Maybe this is what we needed. Now, of course, Adam Schiff is arguing their investigation into this has nothing. It's all about just protecting Trump and themselves. Okay, let me show you how fun this game is. You ready for this one, my friends? Upon learning that Matt Gaetz, he's straight up said this. He said they will release 14,000 hours of January 6 tapes. I did a little Google search. Here's Google. I searched for release January 6 footage Gaetz. And Google says, it looks like the results below are changing quickly. Check the source. Are they trusted? Come back later. Other sources might have more information on the topic. You want to know what story does come up? Fascinating. From January 6, 2022, Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Once again, that's what I pulled up and just referenced. I think it's relevant to what Adam Schiff is saying. But funny that Google doesn't bring up the news about what Matt Gaetz just said. So I tried another search. Matt Gaetz, 14,000. Once again, it looks like the results below are changing quickly. Check the source. Are they trusted on this topic? Here's the Gateway Pundit. Huge. Matt Gaetz reveals Republicans will release the blah, blah, blah. But that's a big old red exclamation point from NewsGuard. Oh, Gateway Pundit can't be trusted. But Matt Gaetz literally said it. He said it's going to happen. Now, here's where we're at, my friends. From Axios. House GOP zeroes in on January 6 panel documents. The Republicans are saying they're going to do it. Perhaps the concessions that Matt Gaetz got and others will be enough to actually release this footage and show the world what really happened on January 6th. Because there are a lot of questions that need to be answered that the Democrats and people like Kinzinger, Cheney, would not actually entertain. They wouldn't answer. Notably, there are several men who go up to a mag-locked door, meaning an electromagnet seals it shut, you can't open it. They look up, and then someone deactivates the mag lock, and the door opens. How did that happen? The other day, I heard something interesting, too. We had Taylor Hansen on the show. He mentioned that some people weren't even being prosecuted, like large groups that were there. Interesting questions. And what about Ray Epps? Apparently, in transcripts, he said that he orchestrated it. No charges. Because maybe he was supposed to. Maybe the feds wanted him to do it. Now, of course, this is a big reason why Adam Schiff is angry. I think a powerful reason is that, well, the House approves a subcommittee to investigate weaponization of FBI and DOJ under Biden. But, I want to talk to you about why it is important that Adam Schiff and Swalwell be removed from their committees. Reporter threatens legal action against Adam Schiff after Twitter files bombshell. We're exploring legal options, including defamation, Paul Sperry told Brian Kilmeade. A reporter indicated that he may sue Adam Schiff after internal documents at Twitter revealed the Democrat tried to get him banned from the platform. Elon Musk and journalist Matt Taibbi's Twitter files entry last week revealed that Schiff lobbied Twitter to suspend journalist Paul Sperry from the platform. Yeah, that's a violation of his First Amendment rights. Adam Schiff is a deranged psychopath who lies in front of the American people because he wants control and power. He is a deeply deranged man, and he should be removed from any position of power. He is violating the Constitution because a journalist said things he did not like. Quote, so Schiff didn't like the fact I outed his anonymous whistleblower as a partisan Democrat. He's a holdover from the Obama White House working with the Trump White House. And Schiff also didn't like the fact that I exposed the whistleblower's prior relationship with the key member of Schiff's impeachment staff. And there it is. There's more. From The Hill. Controversy on phone records intensifies amid impeachment. This is a story from December 2019. To put it simply, Devin Nunes, John Solomon's phone records were released by Schiff. You want to make arguments about Nunes? Fine, you make arguments. I still think it's wrong because he was in Congress. But John Solomon is a private American citizen and a journalist, and Adam Schiff released his phone records. This man is a deranged psychopath and evil individual who must be stopped. And he is, thankfully, in the most appropriate way possible. He's being stripped of power. He's being removed from committees. That's all I ask for. That's the way you handle it. You know, when it comes to things like January 6th, I always say this, my friends, the violence doesn't work. And the federal government understands this. This is why with Julian Assange, they character assassinate him. They smear and lie about him and lock him up to prevent his work. The most effective thing you can do, strip them of their power and let them wither away into obscurity. That works. And that is how you stop a deranged man like Adam Schiff. So bravo. Bravo to Kevin McCarthy. Bravo to Matt Gaetz and everybody else. But what about our good friend Eric Swalwell? Byron Donalds tweets, I don't talk for Speaker McCarthy. It was wrong to kick Republicans off committees. Don't cry now. Eric Swalwell tweeted, breaking, Byron Donalds admits on the readout that Speaker McCarthy is kicking me, Adam Schiff, and Ilhan off our committees purely out of vengeance. Eric Swalwell responded to Byron saying, you strike me as an independent guy. If the FBI repeatedly says that McCarthy's claims are bullish, don't you think you should have a better reason than the Dems did it to kick me off Intel? Otherwise, why shouldn't I throw you off yours when we retake the House? Don't know, don't care, Swalwell, you're a bad person. You're a liar, and you were associating with a Chinese spy, allegedly. You see how I did that? Quote, Swalwell was completely cooperative and under no suspicion of wrongdoing. An FBI official familiar with the investigation said, speaking to the Chronicle anonymously, as the agent was not authorized to speak to the media. So your words are garbage because I don't know who you are. Anonymous trash. It was a defensive briefing. Information was obtained where we do a duty to warn that he may be targeted by a foreign government. Here's the news, my friend. McCarthy tries to remove Swalwell from Intel Committee after China spy story. So this story is actually from, I believe, 2021, March 18, 2021. House Minority Speaker Kevin McCarthy introduced a resolution on Thursday to remove Swalwell from the House Intelligence Committee over his ties to a suspected Chinese spy, Fang Fang. The resolution will likely not pass in the Democratic-controlled House. Democrats say they have no intention of removing Swalwell from the committee. Axios first reported in December that Swalwell was one of the California politicians targeted by Christine Fang, a Chinese national and suspected spy who started working with him in 2012. 2012? I mean, this for what, like nearly a decade? Swalwell was not accused of wrongdoing and cut ties with Fang Fang after receiving an FBI briefing. The resolution says Swalwell has not denied public reporting that a suspected Chinese intelligence operative helped raise money for Swalwell's political campaigns and other troublesome elements of public reporting. Quote, I don't think that person should be on Intel, McCarthy told Punchbowl News. And I agree, and I will tell you why. Chinese spy wants certain individuals with certain political opinions to be working in government. They then fundraise and support these people. We should question why those people were chosen because that is Chinese influence in our government. And that's why we shouldn't allow it. McCarthy said he did not know about Swalwell's connection with Fang until the Axios story was published. Swalwell told Politico that the Axios story would not cost him his seat on the House Intelligence Committee, adding that his interactions with Fang were something that congressional leadership knew about. That's not a justification. And in the end, it does get him booted. So this is where we're at. What needs to be done? An investigation into the illicit activities of Joe Biden. My friends, I hate to break it to you, but many of these stories, it may be symbolic. Sure, Adam Schiff gets the boot, good. Swalwell gets the boot, good. Maybe they'll actually investigate the January 6th committee themselves. Maybe Matt Gaetz's 2022 conference will actually bear some fruit now the Republicans have taken the House. I don't know. Voting to abolish the IRS, it's fun, it's funny. We'll see if anything comes of it. But a subcommittee to investigate the weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ, I'll take it. Hopefully it's got more teeth than we would expect. Hopefully it actually has an impact. The Post-Millennial reports. In a Tuesday evening vote, the House voted to approve the creation of the Weaponization of the Federal Government Subcommittee. The vote passed 222 to 211 along party lines, with two representatives voting no vote, one being Republican and one being Democrat. It's really funny. It's voting no vote. The Democrats are like, no, we shouldn't investigate the government. Why not? Seriously, why not? What's their argument? The Democrats are outright just in favor of authoritarianism. The Democrats are exactly what they claim Republicans are. They're fascists. Following a closed-door meeting of House Republicans, Rep. Steve Scalise told reporters that the new select subcommittee would serve to protect every American's constitutional rights, according to ABC News. The subcommittee will dig into abuses of power and weaponization of the government by the Biden administration and will demand correspondence between the Biden administration and big tech companies. A GOP source said that if government agencies and personnel do not comply, subpoenas are likely to be issued. Yes, please, and thank you. That's the big news coming out right now. One, that Adam Schiff was trying to get a journalist banned. Thank you, Twitter files. We have the Louisiana AG lawsuit. They're releasing new information that the Biden administration tried to get Tucker Carlson and Tommy Loren banned. I mean, this is outright authoritarianism. The abuse of power, using private companies as a cudgel to target your political enemies. That's what they were doing. I think it's criminal. I think it's outright criminal. But let's not just talk about the private sector. Let's talk about the overt direct actions of the DOJ. The one thing I like to bring up over and over again, that protesters are out in front of the homes of the Supreme Court justices, despite it being illegal and no charges. Yet they will raid the homes of pro-life activists for entering, briefly, a Planned Parenthood building Well, they were obstructing. That's not allowed. Fine. Fine. It's against the law. Arrest them. Nonviolent civil disobedience comes with a penalty. But what about the people illegally protesting in front of the Supreme Court justices' homes? I can already hear the left whinging saying, you don't believe in free speech. If you believed in free speech, you would defend the right of pro-life activists, but they were obstructing a Planned Parenthood. Well, these other protesters are obstructing. They're obstructing justice. There's a law. You can't protest in front of judges' homes. Why? If a judge cannot be free from political influence to come to the right conclusion, then there is no justice. It makes sense, especially considering these are not elected officials. They are appointed individuals who do a job. The Post-Millennial goes on to say, House Republicans are set to investigate the politicization of the FBI, including discrediting the New York Post's reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop story in the lead up to the 2020 election, as well as the Russian election interference allegations in the lead up to the 2016 election. I want y'all to realize something. The last time Republicans had the House was just before 2018. In 2020, Democrats kept the House. And so we have seen over the past several years, from 2018 to 2020, Democrats in the House. From 2020 to 2022, can you believe it's been that long? Democrats in the House. We haven't had an opportunity for Republicans to get in and do anything. I'm not optimistic on Kevin McCarthy. That's why I'm a big fan of Matt Gaetz. What he did was absolutely incredible. Bravo, good sir. And Lauren Boebert, don't get me wrong. I don't want to count out all the other 2019 individuals, but Matt Gaetz standing up, voting for Trump, I loved it. But I'll take what I can get for the time being. If concessions were made and we're seeing simple symbolic victories, it's a start. We got to shift the culture. You cannot expect someone like Matt Gaetz to be the one doing all the heavy lifting. And I'll tell you what else makes me very proud. When Donald Trump said, no, it has to be McCarthy, and Matt Gaetz just went sad. Bravo. Bravo. Stand up to Trump. They're going to say, also set to be investigated is the Biden administration's use of the Department of Justice to investigate parents who spoke out at school board meetings and Biden's COVID czar, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Hear, hear. I'm loving it, my friends. Let's go. Ohio Rep. Jim Jordan is set to lead this new subcommittee. According to The Hill, the panel will include 13 Republicans and 5 Democrats. Speaking during a House floor debate on Tuesday, Jordan said, this is about the First Amendment, something that you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hoped we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment. The 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment, according to The Hill. We don't want to go after anyone. We just want it to stop. And we want to respect the First Amendment of the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is all about. And that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to do, he later added. Jordan has pushed back on claims that the subcommittee is a political ploy. A ploy? It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, he said. It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what is bad speech. I'm glad to see it. Jim Jordan, my friend, bring it on home. But let's break down what he just said. The going after parents. It's crazy. Remember that guy whose daughter was physically abused? I'm trying to keep it family friendly. In a school bathroom. This parent showed up to a school board meeting because they were covering it up. And he protested and they arrested him. Well, apparently, I think what happened, the charges got dropped. He gets released. This guy was calling out how his daughter was attacked. He won. Nonviolent civil disobedience. Stay true. Understand, we are not giving up. Your speech matters. It works. Your vote matters. It works. Now, Glenn Youngkin, he is not perfect. In Virginia, though, they were able to get rid of the Democrat because parents stood up and spoke out and said no. Well, Joe Biden wasn't having none of that. So the DOJ was weaponized to go after parents who simply said, my daughter was attacked. Anarcho-tyranny. It's kind of a nightmarish consideration. This is the country you live in now. We have to win. When a man's daughter is attacked, and the response from the federal government is to weaponize the DOJ against him because it makes him look bad, you're living in anarcho-tyranny. You are living in a borderline dictatorship. Joe Biden is a deeply corrupt individual. And he's out of his gourd, too, at this point. With his private business dealings with Hunter Biden and Burisma, Adam Schiff is one of the most psychopathic individuals I've ever watched on in the news. Here's a guy who is releasing people's private records. Here's a guy who is lying to the American people, holding up an envelope saying, I've got the proof that Donald Trump colluded with Russia. He made that up because he's evil. And unfortunately, ignorant people march behind him in lockstep. But now, with a slight turn in the power of the House, we are seeing a change. Hopefully, this means something going into 2024. It's already 2023. Campaigning is already going to start. It ain't going to stop. And this means we have a chance to change things. But it's not going to be just about politics. We are not going to win simply by asserting we have better ideas and calling out corruption. In order to win, what we will have to do, ballot harvesting, knocking on doors, grassroots activism. Republicans are often late to the party. There's this thing called Act Blue. Democrats use it to fundraise. It's an online web portal. A portion of the donations go to Act Blue. The majority, I think it's like a fee or something, goes to the politician or the cause. The Republicans launched Win Red, basically the same thing, but they were way late to the party. They launched, I think it was like a couple years after Act Blue, because Republicans don't get it. It started to change in 2016 with the meme wars. Many people who supported Trump memed him into the presidency by only, 77,000 votes between 3 states or something like that. Hillary Clinton, they thought she was going to win, but they stopped her. With modern tactics, the people who supported Trump were better at campaigning online than the Democrats were, and they learned their lesson. All of a sudden, a wave of censorship. We have to shut down their ability to communicate. It was pure evil. Now, they may justify their actions as, but it's better for you. I choose dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. I choose the threat of conflict with freedom over being locked in a box because it's safe. I think of my chickens locked in their little cage. Chickens outside, just to my left. Yeah, they're not allowed to leave. We let them come out sometimes to graze in the fields, and boy, are they excited to do it. But their life is in a coop, surrounded by a large fence they can't leave. Yeah, they could probably try and find a way to escape, but they don't know any better. Those are chickens. I owned them. They are a source of food for me. They are not human beings. Human beings should not be treated as chickens. You get my point. They're treating us like livestock. The intelligence agencies, if they were to justify their crackpot actions and evil, it is that we are too stupid to run our own lives, and it's safer for us to be locked in the narrative box. Otherwise, there could be real conflict. Yeah, you know what? Roosters fight sometimes. And that's why we decide we must remove them so they don't fight and don't injure themselves. Humans are different. No human can decide for the rest of us, but they think they can. They think they know better than you, and they think they know better than everyone else. The Bill Gateses of the world, the Bezoses of the world. They think they know what they should do to control you. Now, truth be told, there are smarter people than others, but humans aren't massively smarter than each other. Some people are smarter, but comprehensive ability is not the same thing as knowledge. And you can have a really great mind to calculate and solve problems, but if you don't know everything, you can't properly solve it, which means decentralization is likely the best option. It avoids authoritarianism. It avoids the prospect of genocide. Doesn't guarantee it. It avoids the risk of failure by allowing the best ideas to move forward, by allowing a decentralized system. Bad ideas disappear, good ideas emerge. It's not always perfect, so I do think it's fine to have some governance. But the system that we have right now, lying to the American people, mass medicating the American people, weaponizing the DOJ against anyone who would threaten your system, you have become the evil you are claiming to protect us from. That evil must be stopped. I know. I think about what it would be like if everything went awry. What if humans can't properly organize? What if we do march ourselves off a cliff like a bunch of lemmings? I know Disney faked the whole thing. My answer to that is, it's unfortunate, but so be it. I have faith in humans more than they do. We've seen it time and time again throughout history. Dictators who think, if only I were in charge, I could solve these problems. Well, the great writers of American history have created a character, Dr. Doom. He's a villain for that reason. He believes that only he can save humanity. He genuinely believes it. He's wrong, and that's the point. These dictators and these despots often believe they are the only ones who can do it. But why would we believe they any smarter than the rest of us? And that's what's scary to me. I believe the computational power of all humanity combined is better than the computational power of a committee or an individual. And this means that some people have bad ideas, and those bad ideas will flourish, and that's scary. But it typically means the bad ideas get stopped by the good ideas, and the good ideas progress, and that's what we've seen over the past several hundred years. It's actually what we've seen throughout the course of humanity. There have been periods of dark times, but we've consistently proven that we can figure it out. These social solutions tend not to work. The practical and technological tend to be. What we do need, in my opinion, though, is a cohesive social structure. And right now we are watching our social structure decay. That's why we need accountability. Hopefully we'll get it. There's no guarantee that this 118th Congress can actually pull it off. But maybe enough can be done to expose the machine that come 2024, executive power returns to the hands of those who seek to correct the system. And then things get better. We can secure our borders. We can bring back jobs. We can improve healthcare. If that's going to happen, it's going to be up to you. We got to do our part. Speak up or forever hold your peace. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastNews. Check it out. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.